Hello, dear students. Welcome to I-Fal. I am teacher Nikki and I am here to give you another grammar lesson. So for today's video, we are going to talk about another grammar topic. So with regards to our tense of verbs. Now, we are going to talk about the present perfect continuous tense. So I hope that we learned something from this lesson. So let's start now. So for us to fully understand the present perfect continuous tense, let's talk about and how we make the sentence. So the first thing that we have to consider is, of course, our subject, if it's singular or plural. Again, if it's singular subject, use has. And if it's plural subject, use have. So subject, has or have, then been, plus verb ing. Again, subject, has, have, been, plus verb ing. Okay? So let's take a look at some of the examples that we have in forming the present perfect continuous tense. Example, she has been studying her lesson. Next, they have been playing football. She has been cooking the meal. They have been running all day. So now that we know how to make the sentence for the present perfect continuous tense, let's now identify the different usages of this tense. The first one is when we want to emphasize the duration of an action. So when we say duration, it means how long. It answers the question, how long has the action been going? All right? Like for example, I have been talking for 1 hour. They have been swimming in the pool since 7 a.m. I have been living in the Philippines for 12 years. So these actions emphasize on how long an action been happening. Okay? So if you have observed our sentences, we used the words since and for. Now, in the present perfect continuous tense, to identify the duration or how long an action has been happening, we usually use these words, for and since. Now, let's identify how they are used. When we use for, we are actually talking about how long the action has been going. So it means we consider the start and the finish. Like for example, for 10 years, for 2 hours, for 3 hours, for 50 minutes, for 7 days. So all of this talk about the start and the finish, and then you just have to check or calculate that, okay? Now we use since if we are talking about the beginning or the start of the action, okay? So remember, we only use since in the present perfect tense and the present perfect continuous tense. So in this case, we want to identify when the action started. Example, since Monday, since January, since young, since 7 a.m. So all of these talk about the start of the action. All right? Now it's your time to make some sentences using for and since. Now the second usage for the present perfect continuous is when we want to talk about an action that happened in the past and still happening to the present time. So just like the present perfect tense, there is a connection of the past and the present. So like for example, it has been raining all day. So it means from morning up until this time, it's still raining. I have been reading this book. So from the start up until the present time, I have been reading this book. Okay? Now let's take a look at more examples for this usage. So I have been studying English since I was 7 years old. I have been living in this apartment since January. I have been talking to my mom for 3 hours. So all of these are still existing in the present time. So these are the actions that started in the past and are still happening or existing up to the present time. So it doesn't matter if they are happening at the moment, but the connection from the past and the present is still there. Okay? Now it's time for you to make some examples. So now that we know how to make the present perfect continuous, let's go ahead and talk the negative form of this tense. So it's also just very easy. You start with your subject and then your has and have, add not, and then been plus verb ing. Again, subject, has, have, not, been plus verb ing. So let's take a look at some examples. I have not been studying English for 2 years. I haven't been sleeping very well. I have not been doing my exercises for 1 week. So all of these are in the negative form. So now it's your turn. Now let's take a look at the question form. So in question form, it's just similar with the previous lessons. So you just have to start with has or have plus your subject, singular or plural, then been, and then verb ing. Again, has, have, your subject, been plus verb ing. For example, have you been studying English? Has she been cooking the dinner? Have they been playing football? So all of these are actually in the question form for the present perfect continuous. Now make your own questions using this form. Go ahead. So the present perfect continuous tense is one of the common tenses that we use in the English language. It's not really difficult to identify or use this tense, but you have to practice its construction and identify and master the usages. Now, do not worry. I know that sometimes it's really confusing, but on our next videos, we will be talking about the similarities and differences of these tenses. So for now, this is what you have to understand and practice, okay? So if you want to learn more about this topic, I would like to encourage you to apply and subscribe to our classes here in I-Fal. So I assure you that the lessons that you will learn from the teachers are actually in good quality and they will help you to improve your communication skills in English. So please visit our website, which I will flash on the next part. And don't forget to please practice speaking English all the time. So this is Teacher Nikki. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you and goodbye.